can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sand. And right now, I feel like 100 grand.
You are listening to Inspired Insider with your host, Dr. Jeremy Wise.
Dr. Jeremy Weiss here, founder of InspiredInsider.com, where I talk with inspirational entrepreneurs like the founders of RX Bar, Hint Water, P90X, Atari, and many more, and how they overcome big challenges in life and business. Our sponsor today is Rise25.com, which I co-founded with my business partner, John Corcoran. Rise25 hosts in-person VIP events and masterminds, different from yours, Amy, where you guys have probably a lot more fun than we do with your Beatbox Beverages, but it's for top entrepreneurs all over the country, including many events in the e-commerce industry. And Rise25 hosted events this past year in Austin, Chicago, Santa Barbara, San Diego, New York, Sonoma, Las Vegas, and probably coming to more cities near you. If you see the value of immersing yourself with other top entrepreneurs to connect and collaborate to get your business to the next level, go to rise25.com. Contact us to find out when and where our next event is going to be. I am very excited to introduce to you today. We have Aimy Steadman, co-founder of Beatbox Beverages, who started the company with Justin Fenchel, Jason Schiek, Dan Singer, and Brad Schultz. They were drawn together by their love for music and the entrepreneurial spirit of Austin. I've been to Austin, a lot of entrepreneurial spirit there. And
absolutely.
Right, yeah. The founders of Beatbox Beverages set out to make the world's tastiest portable party punch. And since 2011, you have one there? Okay, cool. You have, which one is that? This is
our pink lemonade.
Pink lemonade.
Came out.
Oh, it just came out. Because I think I saw blue raspberry and fruit punch. So those are the two staples.
Those were our core flavors. Blue raspberry was our first flavor that we ever had. Mm-hmm. And fruit punch came in, and now pink lemonade.
Okay.
So,
and we're going to talk about how you choose different flavors, how you hold off your entrepreneurial spirit and focus and not go into more flavors.
Yeah.
But since 2011, they've grown into $1 million company with distribution. You can find it in certain Krogers, 7-Eleven, Walmart, H-E-B, Ralph's, and many more all over the country. And they were even featured on the hit TV show Shark Tank. Amy, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
So obviously, we'll talk a little about Shark Tank and what's it like working in Mark Cuban, but I really want to find out, you have a really intriguing history. And tell a little bit about, we were talking a little bit off before we hit record on where you're born and a little bit on that entrepreneurial journey early on.
Sure. So
you shocked me with this one.
Yeah, so I seem totally white American, but my dad is from the UK, so that's where the white comes from, and my mom is from Syria. So I grew up in the Middle East as a child. We lived in Kuwait. I was born in Kuwait and lived in Syria and also England for a couple of years during the Gulf War. Not a good time to
So wait, how old were you when you were growing up there, when you were there?
I was born there in 88 and moved to the U.S. in 98. So just I was 10. Yeah.
So what was it like growing up there?
It was great. My dad worked for Motorola, was at a corporation. So we had very luxury lifestyle. They paid for our house. I was going to a very fancy international private school and all that. And they kind of had a moment as my parents where they just realized they didn't like the politics of working for corporations and didn't want to be doing the big business thing forever. So they actually both quit their jobs at big companies out there and decided to become entrepreneurs. Wow. And we actually tried to do that in Syria, and it didn't entirely work out because the economy wasn't the greatest there. Still, obviously, is not very good. So we relocated here to the United States. We moved to Houston. And
why Houston?
Well, we actually had a family friend there, so we weren't just going it alone. So we had somebody to stay with. Mm-hmm. And my parents had a lead on a business they wanted to start. So they did vending machines with candy and stuffed animals all over Houston when I was growing up in middle school. And I used to sit on the floor putting homies keychains in those plastic.
My daughters love those things.
So I used to sit there putting keychains and bubbles and helping them count quarters and stuff when I was in middle school.
They were priming you.
Yeah, so they were definitely very entrepreneurial and were always trying to, start businesses here and talked about the opportunity here in America to do stuff like that. So I kind of got it into my head that that's something I wanted to do when I was older too. But I was a big computer game nerd growing up, but built my own computers and was just a big nerd person. My dad used to make websites and taught me how to make websites when I was really young too. So that was my career before Beatbox.
I saw you at a company developing websites, right?
Yeah, so online marketing, search engine marketing. We made websites. We did all kinds of, this is early 2000s kind of web marketing stuff. Google Places had just come out or something. We were doing trying to help small businesses
SEO.
Get their businesses online in the early 2000s. So that was my career. And I went to the University of Texas for the entrepreneurship MBA program, which is one of the top 10 in the country, and was lucky for me, was right here in Austin where I already was, and met Justin Fenchel in Entrepreneurship Club. We were both vice president Entrepreneurship Club at business school, and he had the idea for Beatbox, and I made him a website. And, made lots of my friends that had business ideas, websites, and helping them, and we're kind of trying to do it. But we all got along really well, and the actual idea had a lot of validation. We had a lot of people that really, really loved the product that we ended up, I can tell you about the whole...
Yeah, what was the idea? Like when you were originally talking about it, when you made a website, what did the, company or product look like at the time? 'Cause I've read some stuff, you could talk about the original product.
So this is before they recruited me to be on board, so I was not there for this. I'm just retelling this, which I have heard this story a million times, obviously, told by Justin and Brad. But basically, they were at a party, a wine party, and were saying that it was just really boring. Like the vibe of the party was very tame for what they were trying to get into. And we're like, we need an energy wine. We need Winergy, something that's going to
Winergy.
That's a good one. Wine, you know? And so they had really funny names that they came up with. They wanted to do Sauvignon Blanc out and Call a Cab and just have this sort of aggressive wine brand geared around partying. And, the first thing you do when you start an alcohol company is call a lawyer. So we talked to some lawyers, and that idea, unfortunately, is illegal. You can't put energy in alcohol anymore after the whole Four Loko thing. And you can't put supplements in there. You can't call things, that are set varietals like Sauvignon Blanc. You can't use puns on those, stuff like that. Basically everything we wanted to do was legal. And so we kind of were like, okay, well, what if we make this not an energy wine, but just a cocktail that came out of the same sort of box of wine that people were buying for parties. So that sort of party pack size, but do a party punch kind of with it. So we tried to do it with vodka originally, and that's also illegal. So you can't mix anything with distilled spirits, anything bigger than a handle, even if it's mixed with something else. So you're going to do a 5-liter bag, which is what we were trying to do.
Can't mix it with anything. Yeah, because I read that the first product you guys came up with was a vodka. This was probably put together in your kitchen or something, a vodka Crystal Light and cranberry juice cocktail.
Absolutely. So once we learned we could do it with wine, but there was this wine ingredient that's called Other Than Standard Wine, and you can make it with almost any fruit. Originally we were using orange wine, but now we use grape. But it's just this other wine, and it's 22% alcohol. It's clear. It's odorless. It's basically a vodka substitute. So we were able to use that to make vodka-like drinks. So when we made the prototypes, we just took Franzia boxes or other boxed wines. We printed off stickers we used one of those crowd design websites to generate a logo and a packaging design.
Yeah.
And so we got a lot of, samples of artwork that we could use to test. And so we just made tons of prototypes that were really shady looking. But,
college kids don't care.
And then we used every Gatorade, every juice, every mixer with vodka, and tried, different combos. And the one that was empty was always the raspberry lemonade. Crystal Light and Taka vodka was the punch that was going really well at our test events. So yeah, we took that to a food science company and said, hey, we want to do this vodka raspberry lemonade drink legally with wine and an original flavor. And they were able to create something that, you know, tasted really good to us. And, you know, we tried the 14% alcohol version of it and the 8% alcohol version of it. And the 11% was just boozy enough and with a good flavor. And, you know, people liked it because we're really essentially replacing a punch or homemade cocktail that is usually a higher ABV, but we wanted to use wine. We didn't want it to be super aggressive so that we could still sell it in, you know, grocery stores here in Texas and convenience stores here in Texas and California and other markets. You can get vodka anywhere, but being a wine actually had a lot of distribution advantages for us.
Yeah.
So yeah, we made the original formula. It's been changed since then, and improved, I think, every time we've changed it. But yeah, originally it was just based on that prototype Crystal Light mixture.
So, I mean, you went out and you validated, you actually had people drink it, and then you had certain ones were empty, and then that's kind of the flavor you went with. And then you decided to turn it into a business. And how did you then launch it? You guys did some scrappy things to get it out there.
Absolutely. So we were in school at the time, so we were getting our MBA. So this is like 2011, 2012. And we couldn't do Kickstarter because Kickstarter didn't do alcohol, but we did an Indiegogo campaign, did some funny videos that are still out there on the internet.
I saw one the other day. One of the originals.
Yeah, they're pretty funny. You can see me on there looking a little different. And and yeah, we raised some money. We put in all of our savings, and originally we had the idea that we were going to outsource manufacturing, outsource warehousing, outsource everything because we were still in school and none of us had any expertise running a food facility or anything like that. Right. But the Texas Alcohol Board basically told us that, you know, in order for us to sell to stores here, we either had to be the manufacturer of the product or we needed a distributor. So it was kind of like, you know, catch-22, where like you need to be famous to get a distributor. People need to like you for the distributor to care, but you can't really get started unless you're making it yourself. So very hard to outsource.
How hard is it to get a distributor?
It can be impossible, you know, if you're not offering anything new and different or strategic for them, like just another beer or just another wine or something like that. It can be very hard to get their attention because there's just a few of them that control so much of the distribution state by state, and they get pitches constantly. So we actually got discovered by one of the owners of Republic, which is the biggest wine distributor here in Texas and one of the biggest in the country. And we were actually just presenting on behalf of the entrepreneurship department for UT to the UT Alumni Chancellor's Council. So this is like a group of donors and this distinguished alumni that helped shape the path of the school. And we were showing off the entrepreneurship department. We did business plan competitions with Beatbox, which is another way we made a little bit of money to start the business. We did, you know, all the marketing classes. We did Beatbox as our projects. And it was just a really good way to showcase the whole business school through our project because we literally used every resource available to help us grow this thing. Sure. And all of our professors have been helping us and things like that. So really showcasing that. And then, of course, Alan Dreeben, who's one of the owners and partners at Republic, was in the audience that day. And he said, I think I can help you guys. Mm-hmm. And so he really gave us our initial feedback on our packaging. He introduced us to HEB. He introduced us to, you know, those original retailers that we got our start with. So we signed on with them to go live January 2014. So we graduated in May 2013, launched the product during South by Southwest in March 2013. So a couple months before we graduated. And then I actually worked for the university until we were on Shark Tank and I could quit my job and go full time.
So you must have been working pretty crazy hours on both.
Yeah. That was honest.
What was a week in their life?
That was a crazy time because Honestly, one of the hardest times in my life just because of the volume of work. So I was working at UT, so I had a normal sort of 9 to 5 job. They were super supportive, but I still had a lot of things I had to get done there. So it wasn't like a chill job, really.
Yeah.
And then after that, we would go to the warehouse during the week and manufacture the product because we had to make it ourselves, like I was saying earlier. So we had this very small, like little warehouse office that we had set up. It was about $13,000 worth of machinery. We got this very manual bag filler, and
you were actually producing it yourself.
Yeah, because that's what the TABC said, where we couldn't outsource distribution or manufacturing. You know, it was kind of like one or the other. So we were like, all right, we're just going to make it ourselves, and I'm going to sell it to stores out of my Camry, and that's how we got started. So we just leased the cheapest place we could find and bought the cheapest equipment we could find. I mean, it's not that hard to make. It's essentially like making a cocktail. You need a giant blender and wine and sugar. And
making one serving of it is not that hard, but making boxes and boxes of boxes is a different story.
Yeah, I was out there with my hot glue gun gluing up the boxes. And
what was the toughest part about that time?
It's just the sheer volume of things to do. I mean, we were at the warehouse manufacturing it all week, and then we would load it up into my car, and I would spend the whole weekend standing up in the couple liquor stores we had gotten into through family friends or whatever and selling it. And then if we sold them out, then we just go back and make it again. But I was still working, and it was just super intense because obviously nobody's making money yet. Nobody's doing anything. You know, we were just kind of really investing and hoping that it would go. And, you know, it was really fun in terms of everybody was supporting us. And it was like, you know, a big community support from all of our friends at UT and my business partners and I were like best friends. And so we're all having fun, like doing this together, you know. But it was very difficult just to be like, okay, this is worth me not going and getting that MBA job. Everybody else has got 120 grand coming in per year, and I'm taking this very low paying job at UT so I can stay here in Austin and do this thing nights and weekends.
A lot of sacrifice.
Yeah, but, you know, we believed in it, and I really thought, you know, this is the time in my life to do it. I want to have a family later in life. And so 25 years old, I was like, I'm going to go for this. I'm young now. I've got the energy. It's going to be a lot harder to do nights and weekends if I have kids or something. So, just went for it full force, and obviously so glad that I did. And we partnered with Republic January 2014. We got the intro to HEB, which is a big grocery chain here in Texas, sort of the force to be reckoned with down here. Yeah. And they took us on around my birthday in May 2014. And so we filmed Shark Tank June 2014. So we had just gotten into our first big chain, you know, the grocery chain with HEB right before we went to Shark Tank.
That's so good to say. Yeah.
Really good momentum when we walked in there, and we practiced so much. Like, we practiced.
How do you prepare for something like that?
We watched every single episode, and we took notes, and we wrote down all the questions they asked the entrepreneurs, and kind of looked at the kinds of deals they like to do, and made, we had like all the different deals we'd be okay with because we've got all these business partners, and so just the three of us walked in there. We had to know sort of the basic outline of what we could do. And actually the deal we ended up doing was like best case scenario. Honestly, it was like, we really want Mark because Mark obviously knows our customer and knows what we're trying to do here and could help us a lot with all of his
you guys are big in big events and parties and celebrity music, sports, so he seems like the perfect type of person for that.
And we had only done 250 grand worth of sales at the time, so we walked in there trying to say we were
That's
worth
pretty good for you and one machine in a warehouse, and then you going out and actually selling in these liquor stores. So
we had sort of an interim. We actually did, once we got signed on with the distributor, we were able to outsource manufacturing.
Okay, that's
so
good.
I did not make all those boxes for HEB, so that's good. But that came into place. As soon as we got a distributor, we were like, there's no way we need to be making this stuff. We need to be focused on sales and marketing. And so we've stayed true to that this whole time. We've used contract manufacturing ever since.
So you go on Shark Tank, though. I mean, that absolutely. You probably are talking to them for an hour or more, and you only see like a couple minutes. So what goes on? What went on in that time?
So we were in there, I want to say it was about an hour, maybe like 50 minutes. And our segment on TV is 8 minutes. So you're right. Like there's a lot edited out. They asked me a lot of the same stuff you're asking me. I mean, they asked me, I talked about living in Syria. I talked about my parents being entrepreneurs. You know, we talked about the HEB program more in depth. You know, some of the stuff that's just real specific, they don't want to put on there because it's not really relevant to the story, and it's almost kind of private info in some cases. So
it's not as sexy on national TV.
But in terms of the actual like negotiating the deal part, like that's all exactly the way you see it. There is some funny stuff. Like when Mark came up to shake our hand, he was like, "Let's fucking party," you know. Like he was like, they didn't put that on there, but he, you know, there were some other comments and stuff like that that went on that didn't show up in our episode. But overall, pretty much true to what happened. Although it is kind of a blur for me still. You
have to go watch. Yeah, I'm sure. What was the growth like after? What happened after?
We were really hoping for that sort of Shark Tank effect that you hear about from everybody, but I think the fact that our product was not able to be sold online very easily was a big thing that kind of held us back. We were sending people to stores, which was great, but we were only distributed in Texas and in a handful of stores at the time. And we did get like online shipping set up for the states that allowed it, but it was still expensive. It was like our product's normally $20 in stores, but for Shark Tank,
it's a heavy product too. So
it's 5 liters of wine. So just the shipping alone was like $30 or something.
It's more than the product itself.
Yeah, exactly. So it was kind of not the perfect sell for us, but we got so much attention from retailers. You know, we still get 5 reruns a year and get all of those eyeballs and, you know, people visiting our website and checking us out. And we got a huge response. We got emails from all kinds of distributors, international, other states. And it was really just my job of managing all the lead generation. We still, like when we open up a new state, I'll go back and get the database of all of the store requests and things like that we got from that time and say, hey, go talk to these people again and see if they can help us get going in this new territory. But at this point, you guys are bootstrapping this. When you get that investment, what do you do? What do you do with the money, and then how do you navigate? Yeah, I mean, we weren't paying ourselves at the time, so that was one thing that was great. Was that
I can eat and live, right? Exactly.
Yeah, so I was able to pay my bills. We paid ourselves very little, you know, just rent and bills and that, just enough to where we didn't have to have another job, basically. And then, we invested in inventory. I mean, it's hard to.
The more you sell, the more you have to invest. Yeah.
Yeah. Production to getting paid is 100 days or something like that. It's a long time of fronting cash, so we used that. We did hire our first sort of employees, which were mainly our brand ambassadors and interns that really loved the product and could help us sell it to other similar people. So we got that going and tried to grow. I mean, we really grew too fast. We got all these opportunities from Walmart to be in a bunch of stores and going into all these new states. And it was really just the three of us. And we just learned, we got kind of some bad advice from, different people. And we just kind of launched in areas without feet on the ground. And that was just a total mistake. And, it's hard to move a product anywhere, let alone in stores. They would, never have the product make it out of the back room, or they'd make it on the shelf without a price tag, or they'd make it on the shelf, but it would be in the meat department or something like that. And that's the kind of thing that, any CPG person knows. And we were just totally not from the industry. We just went for it. And we're like, oh yeah, we're going to sell them this. And they told us it's going to be here with this price tag and it's just going to happen. And, we kind of got encouraged by some people that were making money on these deals to keep going with that. And, what happened was we got the original pull, but, the reorders just weren't there and kind of dropped. And it was unfortunate because, in some cases you only get one chance at a first impression, but We are back in Walmart with our new single serve product, and we've got tons of awesome people helping us make that a success this time. So I'm very happy that we get to kind of redo those opportunities with our new product. And
so today, Aimy, you would only, if you need someone on the ground, making sure if you're launching a new store, they're there checking, dotting all the I's, crossing all the T's to make sure whatever the deal is actually happening, being executed in the store.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So when we did our Series A last year, with convertible notes and everything, it ended up being like 4.7 total. We took that and invested.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, we took that and invested in industry people right away. Whereas the first time we got money, we were really just learning the business and just letting ourselves breathe on the product a little bit and get some feedback. And, we spent it on marketing when really I think we should have probably brought in like just like an industry VP of sales right away. It probably would have helped our accelerator growth over those first couple of years. But, no regrets. I was 25 at the time. I'm still learning now. So, I think,
How do you go about finding the right, it's such a hard task hiring in general, and then you're hiring for like a high level, someone in the industry. How do you find the right person? How do you navigate that?
I mean, we asked for recommendations from our distributors, people they liked working with at other companies, or, people that had worked there that moved on somewhere else or something like that. So we got some referrals that way. I mean, we paid recruiters, we paid, these industry job posts and stuff. And we got, lots of sort of mediocre applications and then just a few really star applicants. And so we really wanted to this time go with somebody that would be a sort of star person coming in. And so, we had somebody in the position at first and that didn't work out. And then now we have Jeff Chasner, who was at Sweetwater Craft Beer and took them to 23 states and helped them with their crazy growth. So he was a really good person to come in as VP of Sales last year.
What key advice has he given or direction he's given that's been?
I mean, he is just so organized and he has a plan and he works the plan. And we were kind of like, okay, we're just going to focus on selling to the end consumer and the stores and the pull and everything will follow that. But that's not really how retail works. I mean, a lot of what is sold in the marketplace is sold because it's at eye level on a cold in a fridge, versus that's something that people really prefer. Like, I mean, we have an amazing product and it's our job now to figure out the best way to get people to try it and check it out. And in the past, we had just kind of relied on, okay, if we have a really good product and we market well to the end consumer, then that's fine. But we had almost over marketing where we had Shark Tank and we had a really huge sort of cult following on Instagram and stuff like that, of people that really wanted it. And it was nowhere to be found because we didn't have good distribution plan. So Chaz is all about, like now when we do marketing, like if we have a music festival, there's the cases that are sold in association with the music festival. And then we also have the cases that we sell outside the music festival because we'll do like a text to win a free pass thing. And we use that promotion to get into the local grocery stores and liquor stores and whatnot. So everything with him is just, I mean, it's duh to somebody in the industry, but it's just the retail channel sales game being done well versus by a bunch of amateurs,
So I want to talk a little about the evolution of the sales strategy. It's really interesting, right? Because it starts off, you're in stores, basically probably sampling the product and having people try it, and then you are doing a lot of parties. Like that's a big avenue for you, and then you have ambassadors, and then you have distribution. So are you still kind of, where does it fall now? Is it still kind of a combination of them, or?
Exactly. So we essentially do the same marketing that we've done since we started this company. Really big on Snapchat, Instagram, the social media preferences of our customer. We've always done concerts. I mean, it's basically why we started the company, is to go to lots of concerts. Right. Just kidding. But yeah, we go to concerts. We sell the product through the concerts, and parties and tailgates and events. We have like a, if people want to have a lot of beatbox for an event, then we help them work with the retailer and, you know, get them organized and things like that. So we do sort of, it's not really event sponsorships, but just sort of helping people throw really great parties, basically. So we do all of those things, but we're on like iteration 10 of how we do all of those things. So like, for example, music festivals, you know, we're very specific with what we want to sell in and what we do while we're there. And everyone's got a business card with a link to our store locator when they're walking around. They know the local, you know, we have distribution in the stores all around the area of the festival. So they know exactly where they can go get it. Like little things like that that just really affect how much money you make off of doing these things, you know?
Right. And then I think I read too, I don't know if it was Mark Cuban who gave you the advice, but in the article it talked a little about, he talked and wanted you guys to do more of the kind of the ambassador thing. I don't know if that was his idea, but talk about his advice on that and what you did with that.
So brand ambassadors have been a huge part of, you know, marketing this business, and it's really just been getting the product locally in hands of people that throw really great events. So social organizations, groups that throw big tailgates, all that kind of stuff. And you're not really going to be able to find those people unless you have local ambassadors. And we had tons of people that were just big fans of the product, that were reaching out all the time, wanting to be involved anyway to get T-shirts and, you know, hats and maybe make some money here and there. So yeah, we've got an online platform that we developed to manage everybody, and there's tasks that they can do to support, you know, our marketing program or things that we want them to do, like post about us on their social media, post about us.
So these are people, so how do you choose the brand ambassadors? So it's people really who are influencers who are probably heading up some of these parties.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have an application, and we have a full-time person on our team that is our marketing coordinator and helps evaluate all of these people. So we've worked with tons of people over the years, and usually it's somebody that's very self-motivated and entrepreneurial, has a good network and wants to leverage it. And then we just either, you know, reward them with trips. We've done trips to Vegas. We've done a music festival, backstage passes, celebrity experiences, all the stuff that we can kind of leverage because we have these partnerships with our investors and whatnot, to give them those kinds of experiences. And then we also have people that, you know, hand out samples in stores and get paid an hourly rate and, you know, those kind of, and we've got sales, subcontractors and brokers and whatnot too. So it's just really finding a good home for everybody that wants to be involved, that it doesn't swamp your team with lots of, lots of talking and not a lot of like actual doing things. So yeah, having an online platform, like, I think we're trying out Social Ladder now, which is a really good one. But we actually had developed our own personal one before, which is a lot to keep track of, but we had a great technology partner that was helping us with it. But yeah, basically just trying to find a way to effectively manage all these people so it doesn't, you know, we're a staff of 15.
Yeah. So what about, I'm sure there's celebrities out there who love beatbox. Who are some of the celebrities who talk about you guys? And
yeah, so our two sort of big celebrity investors are Mark Cuban and Rob Dyrdek of MTV's Ridiculousness. So obviously they're both fans of the product and talked about the product publicly. Rob brought us on his show Ridiculousness and, you know, talked about us a lot on there. And then we also have sort of like friends of the brand that are really not officially associated, like Waka Flocka Flame was post about us every time we see him at a music festival or something like that. He's super, you know, sweet to our team and helps rep our product, shows our product to his fans and stuff like that.
Awesome.
But we've never had an official deal with them. I mean, we would like to, but we haven't, you know, been able to get there yet with him. But we've also brought on a few other DJ groups recently. And so you'll be hearing announcements about those soon as well.
Very cool. Yeah, I actually have one for you as you're talking, so we'll talk about that after. Yeah. So talk about your favorite Mark Cuban story. What's it like working with him?
Yeah, Mark is awesome. He's as advertised. I mean, he's in the media so much. Really, what you see is what you get with Mark. He's super ethical. You know, I was expecting with the due diligence process or with the negotiation process for his deal with us that maybe he would change something or put in some really unfavorable
You never know. I mean, I've interviewed several people who are on Shark Tank, and I think several of them fell through. You never know what.
It happens for sure. But nothing everything that Mark did was super favorable to us as entrepreneurs. There was nothing shady in it. It was the deal as promised. The same deal we got on the show as the deal we closed. So the only difference was he had to structure it as debt at first and then it converted to equity. But really, that's just details. Mm-hmm. But yeah, he's a great guy. He's not sweet. Like when he talks to you, he's always like, sell more, you can do better. Like, he will yell and scream sometimes, but he's like a basketball coach.
That's exactly what I pictured. Yeah.
He's on the court every time his team plays, and he's there. So that's kind of the, I think what he believes in is a style of management. So, but I've been in a room with him where he was yelling at us, and I was like, I actually have to go somewhere. It was like during South by, I actually was on a panel, and so I had to go. But like Mark's. We were meeting with Mark at the same time, so I was like, excuse me, Mark.
You can't interrupt him yelling at you to tell him he has to go.
I was like, this is cool and all, but I've got other things to do, it was just the way timing worked out. It wasn't my fault. But
what's some of the valuable advice he's given?
Yeah, he was just like, it was just funny because he was yelling at us at the time for not selling more, which is totally valid. Our sales were really bad at the time. But, and then when I had to get up to go, he was like, oh, okay, bye. It like gave me this hug and it was like super nice. So you can tell like whenever he's being tough, it's really just to kind of mentor and coach us instead of, just to be mean. But he's been really busy lately. We have gotten a lot of sort of personal attention and favors from him, over the years, but he's really put his brother on our board and on our team. So his brother, Jeff Cuban, we work with almost on a weekly basis, and he'll do things like go with us to the meeting for 7-Eleven, make that intro, really help us with, talking to retailers. We were able to get a math suite to bring in some buyers and talk to them. So like things like that, anything he can do to kind of leverage Cuban's network and his name, he will do to try and help us out. So that's really helpful too.
Yeah, in the article, Amy, I was reading too, it seemed like what was emphasized was focusing. And so talk about from the product standpoint, because I think you had a couple products before, and now it seems like you've really streamlined into the fruit punch and blue raspberry. And then I want you to talk about obviously the mixtape piece, but did you have to eliminate some flavors that you kind of kept the best sellers, or? Yeah,
exactly. So we had a lot of opportunity after Shark Tank with all the new states and all the retailers that were reaching out. And we also wanted to expand our flavor profiles and things like that. So we've had like a total of, I think, 6 or 7 flavors. We did one as sort of like a grocery store exclusive deal where they wanted something that you could only get there. So we developed a new custom flavor for them. And then we developed some other new flavors just based on our customer feedback. But just, I mean, from my perspective, being the one that actually has to manage inventory and production, I was like, no. I want one flavor. Like, we already have 3 sizes because Florida, we have to make a 3-liter product because they can't sell 5 liters in Florida. And so we have 3 SKUs with this new single serving. So anytime we add a new flavor, that's like another 3 things that I have to buy individual packaging for and keep inventory on and everything else. So I like things to be very simple, but we have to keep innovating because in this market you always have to keep innovating. So
so you shrunk, you went from like 5 flavors to 2 flavors, and then
now we just, what would happen was we would sell out of blue raspberry everywhere all the time. Like, blue raspberry is still #1 flavor. Everybody loves it. It's just a great flavor, a great product. The other flavors, they had fans and things like that, but it just did not move at the same velocity as we were seeing the blue raspberry. And so what would happen was a store would sell out of blue, but they would have like 1 grape or 1 lemon lime that they couldn't sell for a while. And that just looked so bad on us. They would never reorder until they sold everything. And so it really held us back.
Hurting the sales of all the products. Yeah. I gotcha.
So we would... So we would, we would much rather have one product that's turning quickly that we can get efficiencies on operationally, as well as, just have the performance that the retailers are looking for in terms of velocity. So we just downgraded and we said we're only going to put something else out there if we think it's as good or better than blue raspberry. So that the fruit punch has been pretty good, and I think the pink lemonade is going to be.
So how do you decide? It's a big decision. One, to do another flavor, right? Like the pink lemonade, and then two, it's a big decision. You guys, if anyone has seen their stuff, if you haven't, you should check it out. Beatboxbeverages.com. But it's like a big box, which is. That's the larger quantity. And then now you have a mixtape, which is the individual serving, which is going to be more in the convenience stores and everywhere else. So big decision on both of those. But so how do you decide to expand to another flavor?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, really, we need to have product innovation just to keep our consumers happy and interested, and also to get distributors' attention and everything else. I mean, having something new to talk about is important as a alcohol brand, and so we always have new things to talk about, whether it's new celebrities coming on board, helping us out, or things like that. But the product itself, we always want to make the best. So I mean, we just knew we hadn't added a flavor in several years, and we wanted to do something. We had tried the pink lemonade flavor in one of these flavor panels that I was telling you about, and it was just such a winner, and everyone was so excited about it. We decided to launch it with our new beer distributors and take the product big in 2018. So we aim to launch it this spring break.
It's sort of like going back to your roots a little bit, because the original product had Crystal Light, so it was a lemonade flavor.
Yeah, exactly. Because now it's not blue raspberry lemonade anymore. It's just blue raspberry. It's more of a true blue raspberry flavor. So this one brings the lemonade back. Yeah, for sure.
So talk about the mixtape piece. Yeah, because that's also a big undertaking.
Yeah, so Beatbox Mixtape, we actually just call it Beatbox 500 mLs now, because the mixtape thing was a little confusing. Is this still Beatbox?
I got it.
Else? You got it. You know what's
I guess as people start getting older and people, they don't even know what that is, right? I mean, do they even know what a stereo system is?
Yeah. We all thought it was really cute, but I guess I could see how it would be diluting the brand a little bit this early in the game. So we just rolled with Beatbox 500 ml.
500 ml, yeah. So the decision to do that, how'd that come about?
So the ticket price on average for Beatbox, it's 5 liters, so it's about 7 bottles of wine, and most places sell it for $19.99. That's great. It's a great value, but if you're not
huge value.
If you're not having a big party, and if you've never tried it before, it's kind of a lot of money for a lot of our customers to front, not knowing if you're going to like it. And so the purpose of the single serve originally was just to drive trial, to have something really cheap that someone could say, oh, I've heard that, I kind of want to try it and just see if I like it. So that was the original concept.
Yeah. It's a big commitment. You're right. I'm going to buy 7 bottles of this wine.
Yeah. So the 500 mLs, we still wanted to do something that was true to the original design of convenience for the packaging. So they're resealable. They're in Tetra Pak, eco-friendly packaging as well, which is important to us. And so we really loved it. We loved the idea of the adult juice box, and the customer response has been phenomenal. I mean, people just love having it because you can have it a lot more, occasions than just a large party or a large tailgate. You can take it just by yourself to the pool or to the beach or whatever you want to do. And so it's just fits our customers a lot more, and also expands who we can, who our customers can be, because in the past it was mostly people that were having parties in their life frequently. And now it's really just anybody that enjoys a fruity beverage.
Yeah. I mean, you're the operations expert. How hard was that to execute on, going from...
it just takes forever. I mean, it's not really difficult. It's just
getting
there's
everything
too many
ready.
steps. Anything in alcohol, any change on my packaging, any change to my formula, getting a new contract manufacturer involved because we're using specialty packaging and all that kind of stuff. I mean, every one of those steps takes, several months. And so I just had this big chart of like, we need to do all this stuff because in 2 months we need to do all this stuff and we need these permit numbers and this paperwork done and whatever. So it just takes a really long time.
Amy, what challenges someone who's not in the alcohol industry would have no idea about the things that you have to deal with?
I mean, that right there, I mean, I'm from online, right? So if you think of an idea, you can have it live in like 30 seconds. But if you have an idea in alcohol, you're probably going to be minimum 4 months before you can even really test it, So it's just unfortunate that that's how long it takes, but it's a very regulated industry. And that's just what it is. That's what everybody does. So we just try and be very innovative on our web portals and packaging.
Talk about that, actually. I got to your site. When I first looked at your site, talk about why the video you have on your site. There's like an older lady.
Yes.
Talk about the reason why, how that came about. It was not what I was expecting when I went to your site to watch the video. It's an older lady, and she's kind of almost navigating through this event.
Yeah, so this is Sue. She's 78, and it was on her bucket list to go to a music festival. And she's a double breast cancer survivor. And we were so delighted to have her as our guest at one of our music festivals. And we just brought her on board and showed her around.
How'd that even come about? She just liked your product?
I don't know if you are Twitter, like YouTuber or Vine video fan, but Jimmy Merle is somebody that we've worked with in the past who was a Vine star basically, and now is a famous YouTube guy. Makes really funny content that we really loved, and it's actually his best friend's grandmother. We just told him we're looking to create a really memorable experience, and we had this the whole thing with Beatbox is somewhat nostalgic. I mean, we've got the retro boombox, we've got the mixtape thing going. I mean, it's just the whole idea is that it brings people together, and it doesn't matter if you're a certain kind of person. We really wanted Beatbox to just symbolize fun and being together with all your versus it just being something for college kids or for, young adults or whatever. So we wanted to bring that into it. So I was really excited to be part of that experience. Yeah,
that was cool. I was watching the video and this is random, but okay, I'll go with it. And just,
and people were delighted by it. When we were at Moonrise, everybody was running up to us being like, oh my God, I'm so glad you're here. I'm so happy to see you. Can I give you a hug? This really makes me happy because I want to imagine that when I'm an older person that I would still come out and have fun and be able to do fun things. Yeah. So, I mean, it resonated with the younger audience as well. That's something that they were all about.
Yeah. Amy, I always ask, since it's Inspired Insider, about the lowest moment. And then on the flip side, what's been the proudest?
The lowest moment for me, the startup world is just kind of crazy to me. I mean, the expectation in my industry is that you're going to spend millions and millions of dollars and never really be quite profitable. But if you're showing lots of growth, then you'll get the investment that you need to make it happen. And so that's what we've been running this company under since day one, is that thesis that this is a high growth industry where startups can make a really big impact. And so our investment group also believes that and is working with us. But as a company that's not yet profitable, I mean, everything is stressful when it comes to managing cash. And we've had some really low points where, we're really dependent on investors supporting this and to help us get to the next level. And if people, fall out or maybe don't have that kind of appetite for risk, and it puts us in a difficult spot. I mean, we've been sitting there thinking that it was all going to be over, many times now, not many, but enough times for where I've gotten some early gray hair for sure. Yeah. And so, I mean, it's really just, I started going to mindfulness training, around the same time that we were on Shark Tank and been doing it at least twice a month since.
What is that like?
It's basically a group that I'm part of that we do mindfulness practice together, so meditation, tracking emotions, all kinds of sort of therapist training stuff you would do, and we talk about the science of it, and it's basically like a therapist training / mindfulness thing for personal mental health relaxation stuff. And I think it's really important for entrepreneurs. And usually when I do speaking engagements or whatever, I like to talk about it. Really good book that kind of changed my, just helped me learn so much about it. It's called Mindsight by Dan Siegel. It's a super famous book. Dan Siegel has a lot of books, mainly about parenting, but just mindfulness in general. Yeah, Mindsight.
Any other good ones in that genre that you like?
There's a bunch. I've been really loving just using some of these apps that came out, like Headspace and whatnot. If you're just brand new to it, I think that's really the easiest way to learn what it's about and kind of try it for yourself, And for me, it's been really impactful in helping me manage my mental health through the roller coaster. We've had some really, really high highs with Shark Tank and, being backstage at a music festival with all your friends and everybody's telling you your product is amazing. And, Mark Cuban's telling you you're cool and Maka Flocka Flames telling you you're cool. And, the very cool moments in my 20s for sure, where I was like, this is going to be it. It's going to change my life. I'm going to be a millionaire. All of those feelings, and then going to, I owe a bunch of people money and I don't know that I'm going to be able to pay them back. And I feel like crap because, I feel personally responsible and, I'm a failure or whatever. Yeah. So, it's ups and downs, but I think as long as you just know that you got to do your best and the rest is not really up to your control. Even really, really good businesses fail because of the economy, because of the market or external forces. So, it's a hard thing to do to kind of cross the line of just working at a company and making an average salary to being an entrepreneur and going for it and trying to be successful in a big way. So
thanks for sharing that. I think that doesn't get talked about a lot is the managing the stress part. So you do mindfulness. What else? It sounded like when we were talking before, certain eating habits. What else do you do to manage your stress?
Just trying to keep life kind of simple outside of work, which kind of sucks because I don't try to sign up for tons
your work
of
is pretty exciting.
No, it's great. I love going to music festivals for work. I love, being part of the alcohol brand and everything that we do. It's great, but, a lot of family vacations and things like that I might have done, I haven't done over the past few years. And, I have my close friends that I keep in contact with, but I'm not going to happy hours all the time or anything like that. And like I used to do in my younger days, but, just try and keep life simple and have a simple, eat healthy, make sure I sleep a lot so that, I know that this is the season of my life where a lot of effort is going to be placed in growing my business, and it's going to, it's going to take me to the next season of my life, which hopefully will be new and different. And I kind of feel like I'm sacrificing some of the things that people do in their 20s, like traveling a bunch and partying a bunch to do my business. But, long term, I've just made that choice for me. And I think that I'm going to be better off anyway for it. So,
What about on the flip side, Aimy, some of the proudest moments you've had?
Yeah, I'm really proud of everything that we've done that we can control that's worked out well. Like all of our cool ideas. Simply from putting the handprint on the original beatbox that says "slap the bag" and trademarking that. No one had done that, and it seemed like such a great way. People were so delighted when they saw it. When you open a bag and you don't expect there to be a handprint on it because it's sort of this underground ritual you do with your friends, and then it's embraced by a company and saying, this company knows who I am and what I do with their product, creates those sort of customer moments with people. And we get emails and voicemails and stuff.
So talk about that for a second for people who haven't tried the product. What's the ritual?
So slap in the bag, which I had to learn this too, because I was pretty young when we started this company too. But basically, it's like a cheers type ritual where you take the bag out of the box and you hold it up, you slap it, you drink from the spout, and then you slap it again, basically. And usually you'll hold the bag for your friends or whatever. So that's slap the bag. Please drink responsibly. Party better together. That's our hashtag. Please drink responsibly. So, it's clearly marked how many servings are in every bag and everything else, so people should know how much they're drinking.
Yeah, it's not a one sitting. You shouldn't be drinking 7 bottles of wine at one sitting.
Exactly, but yeah, our product's made for parties where you're with 10 of your friends or more. So,
rewarding. Chain that you got into, because it's really cool that you get into these well-known stores. What was maybe the most rewarding? Maybe you guys spent the longest time, or there was an interesting story behind how you actually broke into them.
Well, I'm really excited that we were in HEB, because that's where I shopped all during college and when I was younger. And then on my birthday, we got shipped my own product, was sitting a big pallet in the middle of my, grocery store that I used to go to once a week. So that was really cool. But, they're a really good partner just because they take chances on local small businesses from Texas all the time and grow with them and help them grow as businesses. So I really appreciate our partnership with HEB. That being said, getting into Walmart is just a huge deal and adds a lot of credibility to your business with other businesses. So, that's the one that we talk about a lot. Yeah. But I would say I was really excited to get into my local grocery store.
Amy, I want to be the first one to thank you. This has been fantastic. Thanks for sharing some of the ups, the downs, everything in between, because it's really important for people experiencing it. It's like therapy, I feel like, to hear this stuff.
Absolutely. Because it is very lonely to be an entrepreneur. So I think that you're building camaraderie here with your podcast and helping people feel like they're not alone. Yeah. Everybody gets really stressed out, but at the end of the day, I'm not curing cancer over here. I'm just making punch. So it needs to be fun, right?
Well, thank you. And everyone should check out beatboxbeverages.com. Where else should we point people towards? Online.
Yeah, check us out on social. Whatever social channel you use the most is a good place to find us.
Cool. Thanks again, Amy. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye.
What I got, you can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sand. And right now, I'm feeling like $100 grand.